This didn't happen by accident. You intentionally have chosen to be here today.
The BodCon 2024 replay. Explore the future of fashion as industry leaders discuss the path toward true size inclusivity and how to shop with confidence, no matter your shape or size. Join Marie Denee, CEO and founder of The Curvy Fashionista, Sarah Chiwaya, a plus-size fashion industry expert, Phaith Montoya, a fashion and mental health advocate, and Miko, a model, author, and advocate with Netta, as they share their insights on making fashion truly inclusive for all.
Welcome, everyone. It's so exciting to all be together. Hi. I thought I would kick off by just going through and sharing something that you're most proud of yourself for achieving. I just want the audience to get to know you a little bit more. And you're also incredible. So, right, Zach, let's kick it off.
Oh, man. I mean, what I'm most proud of is my little daughter, Maggie. She's the best thing ever. But also, I was one of the first plus size male models ever to break into the industry. First signed by a major agency. Since then, I've worked with 50 plus international brands on 4 different continents. It's been a crazy journey, and I'm so excited to be here with everyone today.
Amazing. Sarah?
Hi. Well, I'm really proud of the work I've been able to do with the plus size community. I actually just got an advocacy award last night at the Full Figure Industry Awards, and Zach got the ICON award last night too. So,
I did. We get to work 2 days in a row.
I know, we're like, this is incredible. What a weekend. But honestly, it's just being able to push for more and better for the plus size fashion industry. I've been doing it for over a decade, and to be able to get it into some of the rooms, the conversations happening in some of the rooms, I've been able to do it. Like last Fashion Week, we kicked off New York Fashion Week with a panel, officially kicked off New York Fashion Week with a panel with IMG and Elle about size inclusion in fashion. And when I started in the industry, that was simply not a conversation being had at that level. So I'm really proud to be able to do that work.
Love that. Okay, Marie?
Well, I'm kind of a little bit of an OG in the content creation space. I started off as a blog, and what I'm most proud of is being able to learn how to kind of master the art of the pivot. We have since grown into a digital media publisher, and I think what I'm most proud of is, regardless of what life has thrown my way, to be able to still feel like I have purpose, that I'm still walking and operating in my purpose, and there's still so much for me to be able to do. We turned 16 in December, which is kind of bananas to say out loud. But being able to provide information, resource, to be able to support other influencers, to be able to support indie designers, to be able, like Sarah said, to go into these rooms and speak and advocate and push forward in plus size with moving the needle in plus size fashion has been kind of surreal, because I didn't start this with the intention of it being my career, but I've been very blessed and fortunate to be able to have been doing this full time for 16 years.
Major. Well, thank you for all that you've done. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Phaith?
Yes, I think that one of my biggest accomplishments so far definitely has been my recent edit with Pretty Little Thing this summer. It was big because I think now we're seeing less and less people try to include plus size bodies. So to have a whole edit be released with a plus size influencer, and I'm a baby in the industry, so to be so new and also be a woman of color and still finding ways to pave, even though I thought by now we would not have to be striving as hard as we are. But I just think it's so special that I was able to do that.
No, I really need a piece from your edit. I'm gonna have to go check it out.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay, I'm down. I'm definitely not looking cool today. I've got Christmas PJs on. So how would you all describe the current state of size inclusivity in fashion? I guess we've only got 30 minutes, so if there's anyone who's super passionate about a certain question, please jump in. So if we start at where we currently are, if you can explain that to the audience, because all of you do have such insight into the fashion industry, that'd be amazing.
I'm a bit of a nerd, right? So I will own that, and I will kind of come from that perspective, from the business of plus size fashion. I think there's so much that's shifted in the space, that the connectivity that we used to have 10 years ago, probably around 10 years ago, like with the introduction of the algorithms, has really kind of fractured or splintered the connectivity that we used to feel, paired with like these companies, like the higher level, the C-suite folks who are acquiring, and kind of bringing all these things into one. It's interesting to see how that trickle down affects us, whether it's the innovation in style, the access to fashion, even how brands choose to market, right? Like that choice of what they include, what they deem is plus or what they deem is hot, like it's all kind of started to consolidate a little bit. And so I think it's even more important now that the creativity, the individuality is celebrated and supported and uplifted in a way that allows for that innovation and allows for those voices to continue to push and advocate for change to move forward.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And what do we think are the biggest challenges that are preventing true size inclusivity in fashion?
I can take this one. Oh, go ahead.
No, you do.
All right.
I'll probably say
think,
the same thing.
Yeah, no, I feel like we've had this conversation before. I think one of the things that I do consulting as well for brands that are expanding their size range. And I think one of the things that's really hard and kind of a problem for this is there are not enough plus size people behind the scenes. So we are always pushing for representation models and everything like that. And that's super important too. This is all important, but it can't just be in front of the camera representation. If there aren't plus size people behind the scenes who are not only in the room, but also empowered to have their words listened to and to make decisions and to be the ones that are speaking for the community and not having it be a bunch of older men being like, oh, this is what the plus woman wants. It's like, no, that's not true. You're a lot of them are still basing on decisions from decades ago. I even like the Victoria's Secret before they came back, the last time they talked about plus size inclusion, that guy who said all those horrible things, he's like, oh yeah, we tried that before and it didn't work. And he was talking about something that was over a decade before he said that. He was relying on such outdated information and not listening to anyone and just thinking about what he wanted. And it's like, it shouldn't be about what some random man who's not wearing the clothes wants. It should be about the people in the community, the plus size people, the plus size women, the plus size men, like whoever it is. It should be about what we actually want, because we're the shoppers and we're the majority market. There are more of us than there are of other people. That's the other thing that always gets me. So.
I think what people forget about is that as new and as cutting edge as fashion always seems, it's such an old industry, and they are so slow to change behind the scenes. In front of the scenes, they'll pick their darlings and they'll show cool new things, but behind the scenes, it's very much the same. So we had incredible growth in the plus size market for men and women in like 2010 to 2019. It was incredible. And what happened was then, sadly, we had a global pandemic, and a lot of these brands panicked that they weren't going to make the money that they thought they were going to make. So instantly, the first thing on the cutting block was the new stuff. It was big and tall. It was curve. It was plus size. They just cut it off and they kind of hunkered down into their old thing. And what they did is, instead of being like kind of admitting like, hey, we're just watching our money right now, they tried to change the trend with it. And it's like, oh no, we're trending back down to super thin, where we love that we're going back to like the 90s heroin chic. And it's like, it really all just feels like an excuse that you guys don't want to invest the money into this. I remember doing a panel with the legendary Robin Lawley once, where it was us two and a bunch of clothing execs. And they explained to me and her that they weren't making plus size clothing because their marketing research says that plus size people don't buy clothes. To which we were like, yeah, but you've never made plus size clothes. You probably you probably don't sell a ton of bananas either, because you don't sell bananas. Like you have no data. I don't know what you're talking about. So it's something that we, as the consumer, it always falls back to us that we're the ones that have to push, and we're the ones that have to,
but that is so
money.
That's so backward because every
Mhm.
other industry, every other sector segment in the industry does not have to has been given the benefit of the doubt. They drop a straight size clothing line, it doesn't sell. Oh, we'll do another one. Like they give the it's so backwards from a business perspective. From a
Mhm.
marketing perspective, it's so backwards, and the onus always falls on the plus size person, not the marketing, not the lack of marketing, not the lack of access. Everything is like on our shoulders to prove, which is the most upside down a way to approach business. And to Sarah's point, we have these experts, but these companies don't want to engage because if even if there is an expert, there's such a dismissal of or minimization. Like, oh, you're a stylist. Oh, well, you're not really a stylist. Like, actually, there are stylists. Or, oh, you're not a marketing expert. Or actually, I have an MBA in marketing. Like, I do know what the hell I'm talking about. Or whatever preconceived ism or notion that prevents them from being open and receptive. It's like such a steep hill. And now, to Zach's point, the whole heroin chic piece of it all, like the Y2K, like that whole situation growing up through was like insane. But like that is kind of either affirming confirmation bias, or it's giving reason, or it's giving a justification. And what is even more important now is that if you have your favorite, support is now more important than ever. Because if we're going to make it through the next 10 years and have some growth and forward movement, it's going to be important for us to support each other.
And so this experience of people feeling excluded from fashion, excluded from shopping, how does that impact confidence? And Phaith, maybe you can speak to this because you do empower so many of your followers. Like, have you had a personal experience? Did you used to feel, insecure, not being able to find clothes your size?
Yeah, I think it kind of like curates this feeling of like shame while you're shopping. And why this is so like socially acceptable is because of just like the rampant like fat phobia that is just always kind of, just suffocating our society and making people like, well, you should feel shame if they don't have your size. But it's like, okay, what if I just lost 40 pounds and they still don't have my size? Like, do I not deserve to go to my friend's wedding? Do I not deserve to go to the beach or the pool with my family? Like, I always get all these messages of just like girls like telling me like, their experiences. And I know it all so well. Like, I always felt like going shopping and going into those godforsaken fitting rooms was like hell. It was like your own personal hell, and it made you feel less than. And I think now, well, I wouldn't say now specifically, but a few years ago, the shopping experience got a little bit better. I started seeing myself in the malls, like photography and whatnot, and just being able to actually try on clothes in the store and feeling like good about how I look in them. So I think that it's super important, the confidence that someone has by just even having our sizes.
Yeah, totally. I love that. I remember having this crazy experience speaking to Emmy, again, a plus size supermodel who's just so groundbreaking. She really was the first. And she was explaining to me how it really started from learning as a designer. They only draw and create for straight size mannequins. And she met a plus size designer who was in college who said, I've never drawn, like illustrated a design on a body of my type. So there's just so much like background work that needs to be done. But as a consumer, is there any way we can use our influence or try and create change? Because I know that a lot of us feel like we want to be advocates and, be vocal, but what can we do? Yep, Sarah, go for it.
This is very much in my wheelhouse. So I actually started back in 2014 something called Plus Size Please, which was a hashtag movement to tell stores, hey, we want to spend our money with you right now. And this is something that people have done their own versions of since, and it's been something that it is such a consistent feeling in our community. So many people have the same thought. We're like, we have this money, we have style, we have confidence. Like for a lot of us, it takes work to get to that point of feeling comfortable to express ourselves because we have to work on learning all that deeply ingrained fat phobia that is omnipresent and everywhere. But for that, about a lot of us, we do that work and we're like, but now I want to be cute. I want to be fashionable. I don't want to wear dowdy things. I don't want to wear boring colors. I don't want to hide my body. And so I started plus size these back to like request slash demand brands to get it together, basically. Like, we have this money, we want to give it to you. I think I still use it sometimes, but it's not my main focus. My main focus now, honestly, is supporting more of the brands that are doing it, because it's not a lack of understanding from these brands that we want this. They know it. They've seen the market research. They know, they even if they don't deeply understand it, they know it's there, and it's really a decision at this point for brands just to continue to exclude us. So like, I'm all about supporting the brands that are doing it right and that are being more size inclusive and having the extended sizes without having to be dragged into it kicking and screaming. Because I honestly don't want to spend my money in a brand that is like doing it just because they feel like they have to, because those are often the ones that do it completely half-assed, and then they'll be like, oh my god, it didn't sell, we tried. It's like, no, you didn't try. If you never even told us it was there. Yeah. Gosh, there's so many there. They'll be like, oh my gosh, we tried. It's like, did you do a press release? Did you do a marketing campaign? Did you work with influencers? Did you talk to, like, there was a brand I was super excited to hear that they announced Plus. The only reason I knew about it was because of Marie. I saw it on Curvy Fashionista, and then they never talked to press. They did not talk. Refinery reached out to them to ask about it. This was before I was writing for Refinery. They said no. They said they refused to comment on their brand new launch Plus line. You know why? Because fat phobia. They didn't want their designer label to be aligned with fatness, but they wanted our fat dollars. So they hoped that they could do it.
Oh, you don't have to tell me who they were, so I know the.
Yeah. We can all, I don't want to like, I don't
We'll
want to
talk
give
offline.
talk offline, but yeah, it's honestly one of those things. I called them out at the time. Like, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, you have refused that, not only you refuse to put your own money in it and do marketing like any brand should do for anything, any launch that they're doing, right? But then to then refuse press, that is that's a shameful like behavior. You don't want to be associated with this. So how dare you want to get our money and then but don't want to be associated with us? Like, please, absolutely not. Like, so this brand I'm wearing right now is called Beautiful Genius by Jordan Potosi, and it's like really cool prints and just like interesting stuff. And I'm like, I want to support brands like this. I want to support brands that have that size range up to 5x on their own without being like bullied into it, and we can also keep pushing for the brands that we do want to see. I think that there's a balance, but also support the brands that are doing it right and doing the good stuff now.
Let's do that. Let's share some of the brands that you love that are actually doing the work and are inclusive. If you want to go share, because we do. We should all learn a little bit more, support them, even if they're not as mainstream.
I'll start with the men. I'm with this. This is by a brand called The Good Counsel. They go up to 9XL. They're pretty awesome. One Bone brand is someone I'm a huge fan of. Even some of the more like legacy brands have been, like LL Bean just made a big expansion in their size range. I think what Sarah was saying, it is so important to support the smaller brands that actually are producing, because it's hard for them to survive. They're not getting the same rates that someone, a fast fashion brand making 4 million shirts is going to make. So it costs a little more, it's a little harder, but it's made with love, it's made for you. So I always go shop small and shop good.
Obviously, Phaith, you have your PLT edit.
Yes.
We all need to go find that. Do you have any?
I have I feel like Amazon is kind of something. I know it's not small, but I was like, oh my gosh, she was like, yeah, shop small. I think a big thing for me is also just like the accessibility aspect, coming from like a lower socioeconomic status. I always think about whenever I'm sharing clothes, like who I was 5 years ago before that. And I know what it felt like following some certain influencers and being like, oh my gosh, like, like you want the cutest and trendiest things, but like, not being able to find them not only in my size, but something that I can afford. So I feel like the drop on Amazon going up to a 5X and having, semi affordable pieces that are actually quality is something super big. And a lot of people don't know about. I know I don't. I know when I go on Amazon, like look for clothes, like I'll find everything that goes up to a large. It'll be like extra, extra small to a large. So to find those kind of pieces that are accessible and made, every single thing they make goes up to a 5X. And I think that is pretty iconic because most people, they have like the little plus size section where they make 2 or 3 items of a collection only plus size.
I'm sure, Marie, you have, so much insight in this. What are the brands that you're loving that are truly inclusive?
Well, I will say one of the ones that most recently surprised me was J. Crew. Like, I don't know if I knew, I don't even know if I remember an announcement or anything, but like when they dropped the Christopher John Rogers collaboration, plus sizes was included in it. And I was like, oh, like it hit up their PR. I was like, hey, what's going on? Like, we need to talk. But right now, some of my favorites, and my favorites are the ones that we constantly are always featuring. I love Hillary McMillan, an indie designer out of Canada. She goes up through a 4X, Universal Standard. Can we reframe shame to actually call out brands? I love the post from Super Chic. Plus size woman, tempting to fit. It doesn't even make it over hips and chest. To answer your question, Rosalind, it's not so much about shame. Calling out brands. It depends on how it's like for, at least for me on TCF, we will always provide all the information as well as where we feel like the brand is like, how do you say, has room to grow in, right? So it's just about how it's framed. To your point, yeah, reframing. So like if Z brand goes up to a 3X, I'm like, they still have room to go because at least they need to go up through a 5. Or I just won't write about the brand if I don't feel like what they're doing is healthy or supporting or positive to the community. Or you can tell sometimes where it's just a cheap cash grab. Like you can sometimes feel it through, like when, not just in the images, but when you go through their site, go through their socials, go through everything, and like there's no feature, there's no inclusion. The size chart is like junior plus and it's confusing. Like some of those things like that will make it more and then there's no images on plus size people. Like I won't feature those brands, right? Because it doesn't do a service to the community, to the plus size fashion space, like to even further confuse, further frustrate, further, whatever negative words you want to put in there in terms of like, for me, for me, TCF is about discovery and resource that empowers, and all of those other things like don't to me. So everyone has their own set of values or how they communicate with their community and their audiences. And so I think I would challenge you to find the person who speaks your language or whose values align, just like how people say it's important to follow those influencers whose body shape you can relate to, whose style you ascribe to. Values and how they approach things are just as important as well. But back to brands, I love me some Wild Fang right now. Wild Fang is a gender neutral, like size inclusive brand. I wore this suit from them like 2 or 3 weeks ago and I loved it. I felt so comfortable, but I also felt like secure. Like I was wearing a bustier with no bra and I'm like, wee, I ain't got no bra on. Like little things like that, right? Like where you have great quality and style, like you're not compromising one for the other. But yeah, we write about new brands all the time on TCF, on the Curvy Fashionista. So if you're still looking for different brands to follow, please check out the Curvy Fashionista and also Sarah, because like I'll be peeping on her page. Like, who's she talking about?
Yeah, these are your people. Everyone in the, if you're wanting to go check out what everyone is talking about. So I felt like that was one, well, not even question, but in there someone talked about changing room anxiety. I do feel like that, is so important, and I'm sure some of you could give some really good tips on that. So I feel like if we want to close out with some takeaways for people who do feel anxious about going into the changing room, going shopping, any like takeaways for them. Yeah, go for it.
I actually do a series called In the Fitty Room, and it's one of the things that kind of, I was doing it even before Instagram stories existed. I started on Snapchat when that happened. I've been like doing this for a very long time. I've had horrible experiences in the fitty room. There even shared one where I cried, where I was so hopeful for a good one, and it was this really big disappointment, and that actually got that store to change and do stuff. I do think for the comment that happened, I think there is space for call out sometimes. I think my only concern is I sometimes you see creators who realize the power of that and they just go full call out all the time, and I understand that, but like I always try to balance it with like here's the brands that are doing the good things too, right? But for the fitting room, one thing that the tip that I always say to keep in mind is clothes are meant to fit your body, not vice versa. Sizes are not, there is no such thing as standardized women's sizing. First of all, it does not exist, which is wild, not just in plus size, in straight size. This number on the label has no bearing on your beauty, your worth, your value, any of that. So pick it up, pull it across your boobs, or whatever, your hips, whatever the part that you feel like, will this fit? Give yourself a little idea before you get in the fitting room to help you get a better chance of success once you get in there. And then once you get in there, if it doesn't fit, that is not about you. That is the garment failing you, not vice versa. Always remember that. That is the thing that I think is so important, because sometimes people get in their heads, they're like, oh, I thought I was the size. This is not even about you. You could have been the exact same size your entire life. I have things from literally a size medium, that's a structured piece that I wear, to size 24 that all fit me. Like that is a ridiculous range. That shouldn't be the case, but like that is how sizing works. So don't ever let that affect your value and your thoughts. And then also, like, follow influencers, follow people who are about giving good feedback that is about what the sizing is like, how this brand is going to fit, all of that. I am all about that. I know a lot of Phaith and Marie both provide that type of information as well. And Zach, like, these are the things that we are voices. We can give you that like detailed information, and we can tell you like, hey, this is what's up. So go find those people, and that helps you arm yourself with that information.
Just to hammer in what Sarah said, that there is no standardized sizing. There is no that you are this thing. When a client asks me what my sizes are, whether I'm going to model with them, I say anywhere from a large to a 6XL is what I've worn. So it's up to you guys. You tell me what it looks like.
It's true. Put it on anyways.
Exactly.
Well, thank you all so much. I really enjoyed this panel. I got so many insights from you. I'm definitely going to stay tuned and make sure that I'm supporting those brands that you mentioned. And I think everybody wants a list. So maybe we all go to Marie. Maybe, I don't know, TCF can do a little roundup list of everything we talked about. Thank you so much. And now it's time to turn up the energy, because we're about to dive into our first workshop. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. Really appreciate you. Mwah.
Subscribe to this channel and also give it a like. And if you want to follow along with us in real time, you can find us at the BodCon on Instagram and TikTok.